when their campuses are so scattered around South Africa? Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, I think we have thought about it. So when we assessed decentralization, our assessment was that there are over 400 campuses, right? So in our decentralization project, we had envisaged that we will have one office per institution, but that the expectation is that the staff service the institution, and from time to time they may need to travel to different campuses. Yeah. I'm fully aware when we say 76 temporary deployments for the registration period, that those have to stretch across multiple campuses. Right? And I don't think our board is opposed to approving additional capacity, short-term capacity, should the need arise for more deployments to further campuses. We've got further planning sessions with our team to take the feedback out of today to make sure that we've covered all our bases. And it's certainly something that we'll take into account. If additional capacity, that's not too difficult for us to source. It's a decision via our board which can supplement existing.
Yeah, Chair, to utilize my 1 minute as well, Chair. There was something important that I think the student raised and one person raised as well about the erasure, the negotiation of the erasure of the debt, the 1.5 billion debt. They said there is CETAs that want to assist in clearing that debt. Can that be ventured into check on a clarity? Because it's something that the 1.5 billion rand that the CETA is trying to assist on is something that is critical in assisting NSFAS in removing that debt.
Who's answering the erasure of the 1.5? Was it Yusuf?
I think it was Yusuf. Yeah. They said they are engaging. I think services CETA. What CETA you are engaging? They said they are engaging a CETA about
Mercita.
assisting. Mercita.
Oh, it's a FETA. Okay.
Thanks, Chair. No, it was part of the discussion, but they have raised the interest of going through a bursary that will accommodate students that are not funded by NSFAS, but also the CEO of USAF. They did engage on that and say there are other CETAs that want to deal with the debt.
Okay. Honorable Khabo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Maybe in that 1 minute, we must agree that of that alignment, whereby CETAs will have to be brought on board as a way of dealing with the historical debt. I'm raising this because of through CETAs, we always get the reports that they are funding different students, but on how they are doing it's quite questionable, because in most cases they allocate or they give that responsibility to the universities, so we cannot really look at the impact that they are making. But second to that, Chairperson, I think the argument that was presented before of also the alignment of the academic calendars in line with the process of NSFAS, I think we must also strongly talk about that part as a way of responding to all issues that we address. Chairperson, the last issue that I wanted clarity on, I think it has been responded to, the issue of decentralization. What do we mean of decentralization in actual fact? Do we mean that people will be there physically, or what is our cost? In all honesty, the distance in between some of these colleges. The last part, Chairperson, was on this issue of student accommodation. Also, maybe can be part of the recommendation. How does the department become clear in terms of the use of the triple P as a way of resolving the student accommodation? Because there seems to be a misunderstanding on what is the role of different TVETs, what is the role of the department. And I think that's where the bottleneck is. The private sector I think, is more than willing to come on board on assisting government to resolve that issue. But can we have a clear directive on how TVETs can deal with that? Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you. Just on the question of decentralization, I mean for this academic year 2025, we had, yes, with some challenges, but successfully deployed NSFAS teams temporarily in most of the campuses, and they were quite helpful. And most of the campuses that needed support were TVET colleges. And so we need to frame this with that understanding. Secondly, that the most of the universities, especially in terms of technology, are quite advanced, so it's easier for NSFAS to transact with universities. But thirdly, that this capacity had existed before at universities. So even when NSFAS withdrew, with the hope that their technology will be on their side, most of the universities kept that capacity. So it's more about plugging in back into, that capacity. So most of this support will be going into TVET colleges. And I think the NSFAS should take the point around the fact that we have more than 400 campuses and how we coordinate all of those campuses so that, this decentralization should be, should have an intervention. How I understood it is that because there is no resolution between the NSFAS and Labour, the reopening phase will be a temporary intervention. And until such time this has been finalized, then we'll have a permanent decentralization of NSFAS teams. And you're right to be anxious. I was equally anxious. And the NSFAS has committed that by the end of 2026, and with a plan, they would have completed the decentralization. Which whatever that means, but that's the commitment which they've made to me. Yeah, no, 2026. Yes, so there's a first phase 2026, and the second phase in 2027. But we have to push that by 2027 opening, we're fully decentralized. Yeah.
Thank you very much, colleagues. NSFAS can have, or NSFAS holds a big threat in the stability of the opening of the 2026. Honestly speaking, the plans that you put to us, that you will wait for a university to give you the offers that they've, the course offers given to students before you give them funded, or before you give them a list of students that are supposed to be at that institution, is going to create a problem for us. It will be the first one that brings instability. Just go relook that issue of registration data vis-a-vis funded list with the institution must be relooked. I don't think from where we're seated it made sense. I don't think it's going to solve the problem we have. The problem that we have there. The department minister must help these institutions. The grant system, Manzini. For an example, if you're to look at individual institution for the past 4 or 5 years, you'll realize that the grant system that is in action now favors historically advantaged institutions over historically disadvantaged institutions. On CIEG, on the grant for infrastructure, why would we give more resources to an established institution as compared to a historically disadvantaged institution? And what is it that we are trying to get? I thought we'd want to balance, that there must be no differences between a VETS on one side and probably a University of Limpopo on the other side in terms of infrastructure. That's what we would want to do, but when it comes to student accommodation, will then give more money to a vet instead of to a University of Limpopo, for an example. For me, it doesn't make sense. We must look at that because part and parcel of what destabilizes us at the beginning would be historical.